T Anderson 3793 asks, is it worth the exposure to do a TRT and Primo at a 1-to-1 ratio for a weight cut? All labs are currently healthy. So is it worth it depends on your own personal, I guess, your own personal goals, your own personal risk tolerance, what you're willing to get out of that. So let's break that down, right? So TRT, what is TRT? TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. If we're talking about true TRT, maybe that falls somewhere between 100 and 200 milligrams of testosterone a week, right? And so if we're talking about a 1-to-1 ratio, we're talking about 100 to 200 milligrams of Primobolan in a week also. So with that, in terms of exposure, like that's we're looking at max 400 milligrams a week. Lab markers are healthy, so on something like that, you're really not gonna see a whole bunch of skewing on your lab panel, on your blood work. You really shouldn't, at least. But obviously, if your baseline is 200 milligrams of testosterone and you double that milligram amount, you're going to have a response. You're going to get a response from that, right? And the nature of Primobolan is that for some people, it can act as a means of controlling estrogen, right? It can act as a hardener, and I hate throwing those terms out, but it can lend to a leaner, harder appearance. And in a caloric deficit and a fat loss context, yeah, it can add a nice little icing on the cake, but I don't think it's the icing on the cake, but I don't think it's the cake itself. You know what I mean? You could have a great weight cut, fat loss cut, doing just testosterone. Like, is it going to be this night and day difference that you notice because you added in 200 milligrams of Primobolan? Probably not. Is it going to get you maybe a little bit more of a cosmetic improvement? Probably. But nothing that is going to be crazy, not in my opinion, at least, right? So, something like that, I think that's really reasonable, very conservative, and I don't see any issue with doing something like that if that lines up to your own personal goals and what you're trying to do. Coleman B73 asks, do you most commonly program macros, or do you like to write out meal plans? So check it out. This is just what I've seen. It's not necessarily what I prefer, but it's what I've seen. I have seen that most clients that I work with that aren't incredibly well-versed with nutrition, that haven't had successful cuts or bulks on their own, that haven't been successful in managing their body composition on their own, they are not going to be as successful with just macros as somebody that is on a dedicated meal plan. What it basically boils down to is that unless you have found success tracking macros on your own, you simply don't have the systems in place to be consistent. At least that's what I've seen. Point blank period. The clients that I have that are on a set meal plan get better results than the clients that I have that are on a macro-based plan.